Record. Okay, go ahead, Ragini Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavisyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows.
Next one.
इच्छद्वेषा समुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति parantapa. O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate.
Next.
Esam tvu anthagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam drhtha vrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, starting with 26. O Arjuna, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. I'm going to do a little recap from the previous verse 25. So I'm never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So as a result, we always see people thinking Krishna as a human, Krishna as a king, Krishna as a great person. Sometimes, they're like, oh, Krishna wasn't God. He was just another, great human being. And that's Krishna's illusion. And he's saying that in the Bhagavad Gita. And then he says that he knows everything, past, present, future. He calls himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And he knows everyone, but no one knows him. That's a great mystery of being God, that he knows everything, but hardly anyone knows him. Here, the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where Maya, material as the impersonalists consider him to be, then like the living entity, he would change his body and forget everything from his past life. So the Mayavadis, they call Krishna as, or Krishna or any form, right? So Mayavadis believe in formlessness of God, God not having form. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead has form, and he is mentioning I am, and he's mentioning about his personality. He remembers past, present, future. He knows all living entities. He's giving details. So the Mayavadis, they're called Mayavadis because they consider Maya as higher than the form aspect. So that form aspect of God is it's a manifestation of Maya, right? For those who cannot understand the great impersonalism. So they consider that impersonalism is more intelligent and more higher. And for those who cannot understand abstractness, for them, there is the form aspect of God, which is basically illusion. So they're called Mayavadis because they consider Maya as higher than God. Why Maya is higher than God? Is that clear to everyone? What a Mayavada philosophy stands for? How Maya is higher than God, according to Mayavada philosophy? Why is it wrong? Can anybody explain?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Because Maya is an potency of Krishna himself. So it is from Krishna that Maya arises, and Krishna has characteristics, and Krishna has forms, and there are several qualities and qualities that define Krishna in various aspects. So so definitely Krishna is, Krishna is the source of Maya in that way.
So Krishna cannot fall into Maya. Like we can fall under Maya's illusion, but Krishna cannot fall under Maya's illusion. And that's what he's been stating in the last verse, as well as this verse. But the Mayavadis believe that, we are all gods and we have forgotten we are gods. So if we are God, we can fall under illusion and forget we are God, according to them. That makes Maya stronger than God. If we are really God, then we are falling under illusion means Maya is stronger than God. And therefore, that's what their logical conclusion is. And that's what they call Mayavadis. So Prabhupada is again making the point, because in popular mainstream society, Mayavada philosophy is more popular than Vaishnava philosophy or Bhagavad Gita philosophy, because Mayavadi thing makes you feel I'm God and everybody wants to be God. Everybody wants to be the supreme controller. So it's much more popular that way. And that is something we all come across. And it's important for us to know the right from the wrong, right? All right. Going back to the verse. So unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. We can't say that. We can't even remember properly what happened last week. But Krishna can remember past, present, future like anything. Like in chapter 4, Krishna mentioned about how he spoke the same Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan. Arjun doesn't remember because he changed bodies. Krishna remembers because he doesn't change his body. He is who he is, right? Krishna's body is fully spiritual and he does not change it. So it's important to understand the difference between living entity, Arjuna, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, right? We forget things because of change of body. Krishna does not forget anything because his form is fully spiritual. Okay. In the 4th chapter, see, Prabhupada is saying, in the 4th chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivaswan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in everyone's heart as super soul. He knows every living entity to the core. Why? Because all the thoughts Krishna is witnessing as Paramatma. Every desire we have, Krishna is witnessing those desires. Those things that we have karma for, he's allowing it to manifest. Those things we don't have the karma for, he's not allowing it to manifest. But when we become devotees, whether we have karma for it or not, doesn't matter. If it brings us closer to Krishna, if it builds faith, then Krishna will manifest it for us. If it doesn't build faith, if it brings us away from Krishna, even if we have karma for it, he might not manifest it. Because his focus now that we have become devotees, his focus is to bring us back to him, away from the land of birth, death, old age, disease, and illusion, right? So that's Krishna's goal. So sometimes, even though it is in our karma, he might not do it because it will make us forgetful of Krishna. Okay, but despite his presence in every living entity as super soul, his presence as the supreme personality of Godhead, the less intelligent, even if able to realize the impersonal Brahman, cannot realize Sri Krishna as the supreme person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is the sun, and then there are the clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, and the stars are actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. It is us who are covered, basically. It's not Krishna is covered. Krishna cannot be under Maya. So the clouds cover our vision, so we cannot see the sun and the stars and the moon, right? So similarly, sometimes with Maya, Krishna, we are covered, so we cannot see Krishna. It's not Krishna is covered by Maya. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men, as it is stated in the 3rd verse of this chapter. Out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life, and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness. I was just watching Little Krishna. Many of you might have seen the cartoon animation, and we were watching Brahma Vimohan Leela. Lord Brahma gets illusioned, right? They say, oh, there is this boy named Krishna in Vrindavan who's doing amazing things, and he's killing demons and lifting, all kinds of things. And so there, Brahma is like, no, I know God. My Lord Narayan, he's in Vaikuntha. Why would he come to this place? And why would he be a little boy? It must be some illusionary person. So even Lord Brahma can fall under, Maya. And what to speak of us? But then it is us who are falling under Maya, not Krishna. So if somebody says that form of Krishna is Maya and whatnot, please ignore them. You should run away from that place. There are people who do that, and we should not associate with them or hear from them. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hoy Sharvanash, which means if you hear Mayavada philosophy, all your spiritual life is pretty much over. Everything, nash, sarvanash, everything gets over. So we should not even listen to such people who talk about such philosophy. Okay. But coming back to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is basically trying to say that he knows past, present, future. He is revealing himself as a personality of Godhead, because this is the bhakti aspect. Remember 666, right? The first 6 chapters, it was Samvata Gyan. Krishna was talking about all the logical aspects of karma, gyan, ashtanga, and all that. Now these 6 chapters, this is the core aspect where Krishna is talking about himself. He's revealing himself to his dear friend Arjuna, right? Who he is as a personality of Godhead. Before that, he was talking in third person, like one should offer it to God, one should have, reverence towards Supreme Being and all that. But here he's speaking first person, right? I am God. I don't, I know past, present, future. Others don't. I don't change my body, etc. So this is very, very significant. Next verse, Krishna is talking about, O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, O all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. Right? So we are all born crying. We have no idea except for mother's breast, where the food comes from. And, we have to be taught everything from scratch, how to brush our teeth, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, no matter who you were in your past life, doesn't matter, except unless you were a devotee, right? One has to learn everything from scratch. One is born into delusion. And especially in Kali Yuga, it is said, Kalau Shudra Sambhava. Then Kali Yuga, we are all born Shudras, right? If you're born in a Brahmin family or a Shudra family, it doesn't matter. We are all born Shudras. And by training and qualification, we are brought up to Brahminical culture. So even if you're born a Chinese person or, from another, whatever, I say Chinese because in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned certain classes of people, and China, Andhra, and other places were mentioned where the Aryan civilization was not very strong. And Krishna is saying that even such places where non-Aryans are there, non-Vedic culture was prolific, even if they come to Krishna consciousness, they can attain the highest level of perfection of Brahminical knowledge, right? And get Brahmana initiation. So a lot of times people say, oh, if you're not from this country, you cannot be Hindu, you cannot be Brahmana, you cannot wear the sacred thread if you're not born into it. Not true. Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly describes that aspect. It's not by birth, it is by qualification and training, because by birth, we are all born Shudras. And by training with Vedic learning, like what we are going through that, the Brahminical aspect comes out. We learn certain things. For example, as we become Krishna conscious, there are certain hygiene aspects we take care of. Like we wake up in the morning, after using the bathroom, we don't come out. We take a shower, and only then we enter our household activities. But before Krishna consciousness, most people use a bathroom and they just go around like it's nothing. But as we become devotees, we know certain standards. We wash our hands. We don't touch the altar without having a shower, or at least spraying Ganga water on ourselves, and purifying ourselves. So just like in Corona, throughout Corona, we are all using so much sanitizers. Back in the days, it was Ganga water. So sanitizing the body is one thing, but sanitizing also one's aura, one's consciousness through the holy name of Krishna, and through things like Ganga water or taking a shower and things like that. So that is also very, very important. So things like these are happy to be taught to us, because given Vedic civilization doesn't exist, we don't know, and sometimes our parents also don't teach us these things. So as we get trained up to cleanliness standards, to eating standards, to studying standards, to Vaishnava etiquettes amongst people, slowly we are uplifted from Shudra standard, mode of ignorance, to mode of passion, to mode of goodness, to transcendence, right? So through training, the guru helps us, traverse through the modes of nature and become Brahmanical by nature. Now, great. So going back to the verse, Krishna is saying, O son of Bharata, O conqueror of foes, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by my dualities, arising from desire and hate. So what's happening? Desire and hate. As we grow up as children, you must have seen children putting everything in the mouth, right? Shoe also goes in the mouth, gulab jamun also goes in the mouth, keys also goes in the mouth. So from that, children learn to desire and hate. I like the gulab jamun, I like the sweets, I don't like the shoe, right? And this like and dislike leads to our decision making in life. So as we grow up, oh, I like to wear these kinds of shoes, I don't like to wear those kinds of shoes. Oh, I like vanilla ice cream, I don't like chocolate ice cream. I like this, I like that. And we hope that everything that happens in life will be to my liking, and I don't want to do anything I don't like. That's a child growing up, right? So that's why a child cries, I want that balloon and I want it now. Versus as an adult, we learn to live with failures. We learn to live with things not meeting our expectations. We learn to live with not necessarily compromise, but understanding that everything will not go according to my plan, right? So that is what Krishna is referring to here, that the childlike mentality is that we are constantly driven by desire and hate. I like this, I don't like this. And that leads to dualities, and we get bewildered as a result. So what's the duality? I like these kinds of people, I don't like these kinds of people. I like this kind of job, I don't like that kind of job. I like this kind of food, I don't like this kind of food. But then there is a standard. When it comes to Krishna consciousness, we learned there is a standard, the Vedic standard. I might like I might like to smoke, I might like the taste of meat, but there is a alternative, and there is a better way of living where we cause less damage to other living entities or to ourselves, right? Something might taste really good but might be unhealthy, right? So we learn these things not to be driven by desire and hate only, but to be driven by the Vedic standards, right? Because the Vedic standards are not driven by desire and hate. It is driven by what is best for us spiritually, emotionally, and physically, right? I was recently watching a Netflix documentary. It's called, I think, Game Changer. And they were describing how any animal diet leads to immediate rise of blood pressure and all the things that go wrong in the body. And plant diet, immediate effect, how it helps the living entity. So it's not just like the Vedas are just giving something that's indoctrinating or orthodox. It is scientific. And today, after hundreds of years, science has come to where the Vedas have already been speaking for ages and centuries. So when we find ourselves driven by desire or hate, that is the mind acting. And that's when we have to think, this is what I want, but what does Krishna want? What is the Vedic standard? What is the right thing to do? Should I lie? My desire and hate is making me lie about something or take the easy path. But is this something I should do? Will this make Krishna happy? Right? And accordingly, as we learn the Bhagavad Gita, we can use the Bhagavad Gita principles to do what the right thing is. Does it make sense? Any questions so far? Okay.
I have one question.
Yeah.
You said Krishna is talking in first person and sometimes as in third person kind of thing. So is it only after sixth chapter that he does that?
No, in
Or-
fifth chapter also he did say Sarvam Lokam Maheshwaram, that I'm the worshipable deity of all the planets.
Okay.
But sixth chapter onwards, he's very directly talking about his own glories. Whereas before that, he refers only once or twice to himself as God. But seventh chapter onwards, he's directly just saying, everything comes from me. I'm the soul, I remember everything. I'm the supreme person of Godhead. He's just like very much, him.
But right through all the 18 chapters, there are both sides are there. In one, it is
The first 6 chapters is where you will find he's being a little third person.
okay.
But 7th chapter onwards, mostly, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, especially the whole chapter of chapter 10 is Krishna's talking about, I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. He's just glorifying himself. He's talking about his own glories. And then he says, not even a glimpse of my glories. Like 74 different ways he glorifies himself. So it's more direct here onwards.
So is there any specific reason for that? As in, like,
yes, he's bringing the audience up to speed, right? Arjun is a friend. Arjun is suddenly, if he says in chapter 2, I'm God, then Arjun will be like, But then, he's bringing himself, he's educating him into karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga. And finally, as he's explaining how his creation has worked, how the rules of the universe works, how he is behind all of this, Sutre Manigada Eva, right? And then he brings it to, from me, earth, water, fire, air, ether comes. From me, mind, intelligence, ego comes, right? And like that, chapter 7, it's more like blatant and real.
because see, sorry to elaborate, go on this.
Yeah, please do.
Even in the 18th chapter, your favorite, this thing saying, Riddesha Arjuna Tishtati, that even there it is third party, it is Supreme God who's in
Paramatma, because it's Paramatma he's talking about.
Okay.
He's Bhagavan.
Oh, while referring to Paramatma, he's saying in third party, if I can understand that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, that is him, but it's an aspect of him. Here he is standing as Bhagavan.
Yeah, the personality.
Yeah.
The personality. Okay, thank you. Now I got it. This is something which has been there for a long time. One is in third party, second, suddenly it is their direct. So this is something which
There are nuances, right?
Okay. Little ones. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Yogesh Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have a question. We are moving towards bhakti and we are not getting to know what bhakti is. But what is the difference between bhakti and surrenderance? And how do they complement, or how are they different from each other?
They're not different. Surrender is an aspect of bhakti. When there is bhakti, automatically your hands become, and you bow down. When you see somebody has a lot of knowledge, you feel like, wow, so much respect comes of your heart. So you naturally bow down. Now, whatever they say, you take that as at face value, because that's surrender, right? You're surrendering to, like, okay, obviously better than I do. So whatever you say, that makes sense. So similarly in bhakti, when you understand Krishna as God, whatever Krishna says, we accept that at face value. And we're like, okay, I surrender to your will. You know best. I might want this, but I think you know best because you're God. And thus I surrender to your will.
So if I understand it right, surrenderance is an outcome of bhakti then?
Surrender is a limb of bhakti, is a trait of bhakti. When you're in bhakti mode, surrender is a natural trait that is visible. In other words, if the level of surrender that I see in you shows how much bhakti you have in your heart. How do you measure bhakti? Through the level of surrender.
Okay. Got it, Prabhu.
Okay. All right.
Prabhuji?
Yes, Prayash.
So in bhakti, at some point of time, I got vegetarian like around 1.5 years back. So till now I'm vegetarian. Now I consume milk, and I'm very like, I really love milk, because one of the aspects is I love milk, and it's cow is Krishna's favorite animal, you know.
Mhm.
But in Kali Yuga right now, for like the milk basically comes from farms, right? And
Mm.
there are a lot of bad things happening, maybe animal abuses and all. So
Yes.
my question is, so if we are consuming in the
You got muted, Presh.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, if we are consuming the dairy products from farms in Kali Yuga right now, are we getting the bad karma from there?
This is Kali Yuga, and every step there is bad karma. Having said that, it is, if ideal, if we can get ahimsa cow milk, where the cow won't be killed, or the cow is not being tortured, or its baby is not being taken away from it. That's the ideal scenario. But if that's not possible, one can choose to be vegan. I have many, many, many Hare Krishna friends who are vegan because they don't have access to ahimsa milk. But the goal, the focus is, as you offer the milk to Krishna, that cow gets benefited, and the cows, but that's not now it can be misused also. When we say that milk can be offered to Krishna, then we can use any cow milk, and then the cows get treated badly, and they're horribly, horribly treated in factory farming. So it's a difficult question to answer. If we have access to vegan, if we have access to uh, ahimsa milk, then we should definitely go for that. If we don't have access to it, one way of looking at it is becoming a vegan. The other way of looking at it is, well, at least let me offer this milk to Krishna, so that cow who was suffering so much, at least she gets benefited for this offering of bhoga to Krishna, and as a result, the cow will get a better life and next life. That's the idea. And that applies to flowers we offer to Krishna. Those plants are getting benefited. The person driving the truck, bringing the flowers, or the milk or whatever, everybody gets benefited in the supply chain when you offer that thing to Krishna. So that's the only saving grace here. But yes, as responsible Vaishnavas, as responsible citizens, we should try our best to get milk from sources where cows are treated better.
Thanks a lot, Prabhuji, for answering that.
Just a quick question to anybody who knows this answer. I don't know, but my understanding is Amul is a brand that treats cows well, and there's cooperatives and things like that. Is that true? Does anybody know anything about Amul, or any source of milk that is ahimsa and cows are treated well? Any brands?
Roger, what I know about Amul is that they collect milk from the villagers who are treating cows, who have kept cows, and every day they collect milk, and then they process it in the factory and make dairy products.
That's my understanding too. I just want to make sure that is still the case, or they have turned into factory farming.
Till now, I think that they are doing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. So that's why I consume Amul, because I understand that that's what they do. But again, I don't know. You don't know these days, because of profit, people can go very greedy and go all out. So not branding anything, but just saying, be aware what brands you take, and if they are better brands than others, that's preferable. Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have one more
Yes,
question.
please.
So, in the process of bhakti, there are some things that we do, and as per Bhagavad Priti, that is Krishna's liking, we do some things. But once we surrender, I mean, in the process of surrenderance, we need not even do anything, right? So, is surrenderance, higher than bhakti then, or
Yogesh Prabhu, what do you mean by surrender? Let's first gauge that.
Sharanagati, that is?
But it defines surrender.
That is, I don't know anything, and you do whatever is the best for me. Is surrenderance.
So
Right?
let me kind of elaborate that. Let me quickly Google it. 6 limbs of surrender. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur very beautifully breaks down surrender. So anukulyena, anukullasya sankalpa, accepting only what is favorable for bhakti. Pratikulyasya varjanam, rejecting everything unfavorable for unalloyed bhakti. Rakshitya vishwasu, having faith that only Bhagavan is one's protector. Goptritya varnam, accepting Bhagavan as one's only maintainer. And there are others also. The point is, Prabhu, it is not that, okay, Krishna, you'll do everything and I'll sleep. It is, the understanding is that one accepts things, Krishna's words. So accepting Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita is the aspect of surrender. I might have had different views of the world, but now learning from Bhagavad Gita, I accept that as my new reality. That is surrender, right? I might have a lot of intelligence, wealth, whatever, or I might have nothing. But regardless of whether I have a lot or nothing, my protection comes from Krishna. My maintenance, sustenance is coming from Krishna. Like seeing, rather than my boss giving me the paycheck, it is Krishna who's providing me my sustenance. So like that, in a very humble way, having the consciousness and acting in that Krishna consciousness, accepting authority of Krishna is surrender. So generally we see surrender as waving the white flag. I am defeated, you are the winner. It's not that. The surrender is accepting Krishna's opinion as higher than my opinion and accepting that without grudge, without grudge or like, oh, okay, fine, Krishna's saying so I have to do it. But as we surrender more and more, it becomes a natural outcome. I want this, Krishna wants that. Okay, Krishna's desire is my desire. That's surrender.
But is it not a realization then? I mean,
It is a
instead of
realization. Only from that realization, this comes, right? So once you realize that Krishna is God, once you realize the words of Gita are the truth, then you understand what is favorable to your bhakti, what is unfavorable to your bhakti, right? And accordingly, you reject certain things and you accept certain things, regardless of your proclivity.
Okay.
Like Prayash mentioned, he's not eating meat for the last 1.5 years, but as a Bengali, he and I both have been born into meat-eating families. But understanding this, Sharanagati, bhakti is, oh, now that I understand it, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, Krishna says, okay, I reject meat that is unfavorable towards my bhakti, and I accept vegetarian sattvic food that is favorable to my bhakti. Just as one example, I accept chanting Hare Krishna as favorable to my bhakti. So I chant every day. I give 2 hours of my time to chanting Hare Krishna. Right? Having faith in the Lord as one's protector, accepting Krishna as one's maintainer, complete surrender to the Bhagavan. My dear Krishna, whatever decide, if you want to kill me, no one can save me. If you want to save me, no one can kill me. Rakhe Krishna Mare Krishna Rakhe ke. Right? And being humble, understanding that I am insignificant compared to God. And in that mood, living our life, not being spineless, not being without self-esteem. But in comparison to God, we're not like, hey, dude, what's happening, Krishna? Not like that, right? It's like, he is God, I'm his servant. And that's the mindset. So these are the 6 limbs Bhaktivinoda Thakur beautifully breaks down surrender to practically applicable points.
Got it, bro. Understood.
Okay. Anybody clueless? Anybody feeling like I'm speaking from some other world? You can feel free to ask. Nobody's judging here. All good? Okay. We'll keep moving then.
Prabhuji, can I ask one thing? Prabhuji, in this verse 7.26, as in the translation I was reading once again, that at last Krishna says that, but me no one knows. What does he actually mean? Like he's making himself known to his best friend and to us also through that. But by saying that, but me no one knows, like I know all the living entities, but me no one knows. And he says that we are part and parcel of Krishna. So originally we know him. So what does he actually mean in this?
So even Lord Brahma got bewildered, right? Even though he is the head of our disciplic succession, he is the source of our, pretty much the beginning. And still he got bewildered because Krishna is not knowable fully. Krishna knows us 100%, but is he fully knowable? Because he is ever expanding. Even Krishna doesn't know himself. In other scriptures, Krishna describes that even the moment I think I know me, I have already expanded beyond that. So even he doesn't know himself fully. In fact, he gets bewildered. Why are devotees having more fun than I am? That's why he comes as Lord Chaitanya to experience the fun that devotees are having just by being in love with Krishna. So it's like, I want to experience that, right? And that's Lord Chaitanya. So why does Krishna expand himself? That's why he wants to experience things, because he is also not able to know fully himself, because that's what Prabhupada was strict. Somebody asked a tricky question to Prabhupada, that can God create a rock that he cannot lift? Right? You go either way, you lose, right? So Prabhupada said, yes, God can create a rock that he cannot lift and then lift it. That's how well Prabhupada knows Krishna. So yeah, Krishna's capacity is at that point that he cannot lift a rock, and then he increases capacity and lifts it. So that's what. So he is not knowable even to himself, right? But he knows everything. He knows all of us. Now, do we know? To the degree we need to know, we know. Just like the gopis, they don't know he's God. He sees Narayan form, they pay obeisances. See, two-hand Krishna with flute, they're hugging him, they're dancing with him, they're telling him to do things for them, ordering him around, right? So even the gopis know only to the degree they need to know. So Krishna allows us to know him to the degree we need to know to serve him, right? He doesn't want us to know too much, because then we won't treat him as God, or we won't treat him as a friend or a lover or whatever relationship we will have. So that's the thing. So we are limited in our knowledge of Krishna.
So it is, nobody knows me fully. That's the point.
That's the point. Even he doesn't know him fully.
Like we can't add any logic while knowing Krishna.
Yeah, obviously, right? Logic is in the realm of intelligence. And Krishna is adhokshaja, is beyond mind and intelligence. So he starts where intelligence ends. So everything about Krishna is illogical. I mean, why is he blue colored? Why is a little boy at the banks of Yamuda born in a family of cow herders? Who knows? Who cares? It's Krishna, it's God. It's like the universe is expanding. Yes, that's Mahavishnu breathing. That's the universe expanding and contracting also. That's Mahavishnu's breathing in, breathing out, right? So universes, he breathes out, universes come out of his pores, breathing in, they come in. So that's in rhythm with the Lord's movements. Cool. Nice. I'm happy you guys are finally asking questions. Few weeks were like, what am I doing wrong here? All right. Translation. The next verse. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So just like we read Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyanti, like after many, many births, one comes to the conclusion, Vasudevam Sarvamiti, that Krishna is end all be all. Similar verse here, where Krishna is saying persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from duality delusion. So as long as our sinful reactions are not completely eradicated, as long as papa, right? Papa punya, right? Papa is always there, we will have duality dilemma. Will Krishna really come and save me? Or is Maya a better option? Should I have a backup option in case Krishna forgets me? right? Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this more beautiful? Is this more profitable? Is this, yeah? There's always that confusion. So as long as we are in illusion, we are in confusion. When we are in Krishna consciousness, there's clarity, right? And you can make clear decisions, very, very clear. Krishna would want me to do this, so I'll do this, regardless of whatever the world might say. But then rationalization and all of that comes when there is sense gratification mode, when there's a karma in the mind, right? There's lusty desires. That's when like, oh, it's okay. Nobody would mind. Oh, well, I'm doing this right way, etc., right? And so that's what Krishna is saying here. That persons who have acted piously in previous lives in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and are freed from duality delusion. And they engage themselves in my service with determination. So determination is not there unless one is out of duality delusion. This is a complicated word for some people. I'll explain. Duality delusion, duality, good, bad, heat, cold, happy, sad, right? That's duality. And delusion means the confusion that comes out of this duality, right? So those of us, most of us, including myself, are in that duality delusion zone. But it's not like today you're in duality delusion, tomorrow there's clarity. It's a transient process from darkness to somewhat light to lot of light to complete illumination, right? So it's a transition from darkness to light. So from duality delusion, it's not like suddenly I become clear. It's slowly duality delusion goes away. Slowly we become more and more pious, less and less sense gratification. And thereby, one's determination grows in Krishna consciousness. One is like, I will not sleep unless I chant, finish my 16 rounds. I will not eat anything that harms, whatever, animals and whatnot. I will, so that kind of strength in character, willpower, determination, that comes when one is moving more towards piety, pious lifestyle, and one is more governed by Krishna consciousness than illusion. Ashnamataji is asking, Prabhuji, during dualities in life, it becomes very difficult to understand what Krishna wants me to do, how to have this understanding that we are being driven by our minds and we are doing what Krishna wants us to do. So understand that since the mind is inside us, generally we are driven by our mind 90% of the times. So just WhatsApp me, and because I'm outside your body, I know I'm not in your mind, so I can see the thing more objectively from a Krishna conscious vantage point, and I can give you an answer if it is within my ability. If it is not, I might consult with my mentor and get back to you with the answer. But the point is, you trying to figure it out, probably you will end up in some of the tricks of Maya, where it will be rationalization or speculation, right? So it is best to just WhatsApp somebody you trust who is guiding you in a Krishna consciousness, and that person can give you the reality check, right? And my mentor does that to me all the time. It's like, you're rationalizing, or like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like I was telling you guys the other day, right? Figuring out whether to go for inaugurating the tea shop or not. So that was such a exercise for 4 days, tried to figure out, with my mentor and myself, and both of us were kind of like, had the right reasons and with pros and cons and making a decision. So like that. Just give me a phone call or a WhatsApp and I'll try to help you out. All right. Anything else?
Prabhuji, you eventually went to the tea shop to inaugurate, right?
Yes, I did.
So and you don't take tea yourself, and I don't.
I don't
myself.
take tea. I did not take tea. I did not take a picture with tea. I did not comment on that tea. But I did go. I did inaugurate. Yes.
So, like, what convinced you?
Right. Okay, sure. So the thought process was, there's two things. So there is this person who is from a lower middle class family who is coming to Calcutta, with great hope. And there is nobody, not his parents, nobody, but one person that he knows will support me, right? And that's me. And he, of all people, gave me that honor that, sir, you have been my inspiration and I want you to do the honors. even knowing that I don't drink tea. And he's like totally okay if I don't drink tea. I don't endorse him. I don't say a single word about tea. Totally okay. That's one. Other thought was, okay, devotees are going to criticize me. As soon as they see this, they're going to tell me, oh, Prabhuji is all hypocritical. But, people who know me know me. The other thought was, as a professional, Kolkata Ventures, it's my, I am in the business of supporting startups and small businesses. And this is my professional duty to support this person. And the other thing was that, okay, it is tea, it's not alcohol, it's not meat. So it is in that zone where it's, yes, it is somewhat damaging, but it's not blatantly that much. So it kind of like, a lot of points were there. My mentor and I went through a lot of points. And it was more like, should I break the heart of a young man who's trying to make it in life? Is that pleasing to Krishna? Or me just holding on to religious principles and being orthodox about it and just being like, sorry, can't do it. What would be that person's impression of Krishna consciousness? That, oh, this is how devotees are. They're heartless, right? So after making all the pros and cons, I came to the conclusion, if I go there, for me, being a human being, being a supportive person, being a mentor to this person is far more important and pleasing to Krishna. And that is a way to his heart. And thereby, if he has any hope of becoming Krishna conscious, this will at least bring him that much closer. That, oh, wow, even though he doesn't support this, he came just for me, even though he might be criticized. And that's the thought I went with, that he would see that. And he did see that. For those of you who are connected with him knows that the shirt I gave him, he's been wearing that every day, everywhere. All news media coverage, he's wearing that shirt. So he's very, very loyal. And not everybody will be becoming Krishna conscious in the form of chanting 16 rounds, reading Bhagavad Gita and all that. But the fact that they are respectful and reverent to a Vaishnava is a great quality. In fact, that opens the doors to Krishna consciousness very, very much, because Krishna is more pleased when somebody is loving to his devotee than himself, right? So that is a great reason for one to transform their heart eventually and come to Krishna consciousness. So that's what I was fueling, right? So he has the reverence towards me, and I was reciprocating with that love. And kind of that was my thought process. Does it make sense, Prayash?
Yeah. So lovely that is.
It was hard. Even my mother was against me. Everybody I talked to was like, oh, but I did it anyway. All right. How to overcome confusion? Yeah, talking to your mentor helps. How is casteism or racism explained by Krishna? Krishna is very clear about it. Krishna says, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. So caste, Krishna has created by guna and karma, by one's qualities and activities. So it's not by birth. So it's not casteism anymore, because it is what gives you job satisfaction. Pinky, you're born in a certain family, but you're an entrepreneur. So I don't know if you're born in a Vaishya family or a Baniya family, but you're an entrepreneur, and that's what your caste is. So how we understand, just give me 1 second. So it's not an ism when there is no judgment based on, oh, you are this and I am that. The understanding of caste is we all work together in society with how each one of us add value to society. Some add value as brahmanas, as the scientists and authors and the thought leaders. Some add value as kshatriyas, as administrators and soldiers and police and leaders. Some add value as vaishyas, as entrepreneurs, farmers, etc. And some add value as shudras, who are the workers, right? People who get salary. So this is how society works. And there is no ism when there is no judgment. It's like, oh, you're gifted in this way and you're adding value in this way. I'm gifted in this way and I'm adding value in this way. So we can all work together in service to Krishna. Racism. Racism is, I mean, we are not this body. So where's the race? Right? You're not this body, you're spirit soul, you're part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed giving father. So there is no racism. The skin color doesn't matter, your body doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter, your sexual orientation doesn't matter. You are who you are, your soul, your Prakriti, and Krishna is Purusha, and we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. That's it. Right? So there is one who is a devotee, does not see race, does not see gender. Of course, should be cautious of not being too close to the opposite gender, because it can lead to different things. It can lead to perceptions and whatnot, broken hearts, etc. It happens with me a lot. I truly don't see gender. I truly don't see a difference in people. And sometimes I can be very friendly with women, and they can have a crush on me or have feelings. And then I'm like, oh, I screwed up, right? And so I'm like, I overly use the word Mataji just to make sure there is not that kind of understanding there. But yeah, generally speaking, Krishna consciousness allows you to see beyond those race, gender, caste, cripple, whatever one's karma has led to. You don't see that. You see the soul. You're non-judgmental. That's really truly what Krishna consciousness gift is. I see this as a gift. So there is no ism anymore when you understand that. Like how you are inspiring us who are coming to coming from unconsciousness. Devashish strategy. If a person is Krishna conscious but eats non-veg food, is he making any sin or drifting away from Krishna? Devashish, you know better than I do. What do you think? Right? If you are paying someone to murder an animal, what do you think? But continue being Krishna conscious, because what it will do for you is eventually it will uproot that tendency that's pulling you towards certain foods, and you will feel the pain of that animal. Even before Krishna consciousness, as a kid, my mother would send me to buy chicken, and they would kill the chicken in front, and I would have to carry that chicken back, and I would cry just seeing, and actually the plastic bag would be warm. I was like, oh my God, this was just a life that was taken in front of me. And I would not eat. I would not eat. And many times I tried becoming a vegetarian even before Krishna consciousness. So it is only natural to understand the pain of an animal. But if it is not there, if we still don't feel that, be Krishna conscious. Eventually, compassion and kindness is something that is a Vaishnava's jewel, that manifests within the heart, and we will feel that. And eventually, the tendency to eat certain things will go away. And especially now, you have such great fake meat out there, right? Vegan meat is almost as good as the same texture and whatnot. So that allows for us, people who were meat eaters, to transition into vegetarian life very, very easily. Okay, thanks. How eco-balance will be maintained? Oh, don't worry, that's none of your concern. Eco-balance has been always maintained and will be maintained. We don't have to eat cows and chickens and goats. In fact, the artificial insemination of cows, the artificial insemination of chickens and goats and things like that is done in the factory farms, right? When they're in nature, they're taken care of. They don't grow more than necessary. Mother Nature has her ways of taking care of things. So we don't have to take the responsibility of eco-balance. Let nature do nature's job, and let us do our job. For me, I am transforming to Krishna consciousness, but some days I am not able to chant Hare Krishna daily, but ultimately I am calling Krishna regularly. What will be the reason I am pulled out by not chanting Krishna regularly? So it is only natural that we are used to certain lifestyle for centuries, for lifetimes, right? Millions of lifetimes. So slowly acquainting ourselves to Krishna, right? We are used to Maya. This is what we know. Even though she kicks us in the face, we know this. Krishna is little unknown. So that transition of holding on to Maya and finally like one hand with Krishna, one hand with Maya, and eventually both hands holding on to Krishna and surrendering to him. It's a transition process. So do the best you can. What I would suggest, Pinky Mataji, is at least one round every day, 7.5 minutes it takes. You wake up in the morning, after shower or after breakfast, just chant 1 round. Dedicate 7.5 minutes every day, right? Attach it to an existing habit that you have. If the existing habit is brushing your teeth, then do it after brushing your teeth. If the existing habit is watching Netflix every day, then do it before watching Netflix, right? So whatever the existing habit you have, add one more habit to it, tag along chanting Hare Krishna, and you'll see you'll be able to do it easily. 7.5 minutes is not a long time. You should do it easily, and then you can grow that slowly. The reason why it doesn't happen is because the priority isn't there and the faith isn't there fully. So as faith grows, we will be able to prioritize. This is my priority. Everything else will fall in place only when this is in place, right? Till that happens, it takes a little time. Ashwin, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, what is the Krishna conscious view on global warming? It's the same as scientific view. Global warming is a reality. We have become too greedy. We are cutting down trees, forests. The biggest cause of global warming, by the way, is cow slaughter. There is a documentary called Cowspiracy. If you want to watch it, you can watch it. So the methane that comes out of factory farms that produce milk and beef is the #1 cause of ozone layer depletion and global warming. #2 is cars emission, right? Electric cars and all that, we will be able to curb a lot. But as long as people's greed for meat is there, it is just going to keep growing, because believe me, I have seen it in America and other countries, lands where corns are growing and they're like, it's not for human consumption. It's all going to cows, right? I mean, you could end world hunger with that much corn, but that doesn't go to humans. It only goes to cows, and so much acres of corn leads to this much beef, right? So it's extremely degrading for planet Earth. This factory farming, especially cows, and all the methane that comes out of cow dung is creating the ozone layer depletion, and it is also causing global warming. So that's the Krishna conscious view. Don't feed into that system. Don't support cow killing. Do whatever you can to change that system. So today, at least in the US, there are multiple billion-dollar unicorn companies that have come up with fake meat, and they're doing really well. Some of them are also listed on the stock market, right? Yogesh Prabhu, can you name them?
I think it's called Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat. Another one is there, right?
Yeah, I forgot it. It's
there
Impossible.
are 3 companies that are doing super well. Beyond Meat
Impossible and Beyond.
Yeah, and they are unicorns, and it's changing. When I was in Europe, in every summer before the pandemic, I used to go to Europe. But it's like vegan is like normal. It's like that's the new normal. Like if we go to any good cities, there's like always vegan option everywhere. America has not changed much. I guess it is in the transformation. India is also, the vegan movement is coming here. But yeah, global warming is a reality, and I think ISKCON especially speaks highly about it. We talk a lot about conservation. If you look at ISKCON news articles, there's a big focus on environmental aspect of things, because everything belongs to Krishna, and as devotees of Krishna, we should protect planet Earth. We should protect trees, forests, animals as much as possible. And when the system is Vedic, everything goes right, but we have become too greedy, so we're extorting things. So the mentality has to change, right? Although we are doing electric cars, it was funny to watch. The charging station is pumped with petrol and diesel in a lot of places. So it is the same damn thing, right? You're thinking it's an electric car, unless it is coming from solar energy or wind energy, you're using the same petrol, diesel to do electric charging, and that's a problem. So even if things look like they're changing, they're not, and the Earth is warming up, and things are very devastating in the poles. Anyway, enough on that. Time's up. So been to Govardhan Eco Village and felt the mini Vrindavan. Yes, so places like Govardhan Eco Village, we are trying to create such examples so that more of those can happen, and as a result, people can see what is possible by following the Vedic principle. Govardhan Eco Village, one of the greatest things, they take rainwater and this is used, the whole rainwater is what's used as a water source for the whole community, and they have cows and they have greeneries and they have everything. It's just amazing. If anybody gets to go, you will see it. I have not been there, but I've heard. So yeah, we are trying our little examples of pockets. If New Vrindavan, Gita Nagari, Govardhan Eco Village, farms in New Zealand, we have farms in Australia, all over the world. ISKCON has these kinds of eco villages where we are trying to portray how the Vedic living is so human friendly, and it's zero waste, right? It's zero energy. All of the things, the buzzwords we talk about is there in the Vedas, right? So anyway, that's that.
So yeah,
Again,
I had a question.
okay.
So in Vedic times, like Krishna says that Chaturvarnam Mahasushta Guna Karma Vibhagasa. So like if somebody born as a Shudra, and can he or she change his guna and karma and get to a Kshatriya level or maybe Brahmana level?
So you're saying if they're born with the guna of a Shudra, can they uplift themselves to Brahman level?
Yeah.
Spiritually, yes. So there is Daivi Varnashram system, there is Asuric Varnashram system. So Daivi is a divine Varnashram system where there is, as a devotee of Krishna, you can do the job of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra perfectly well. No distinction. Whereas if you're in the mode of goodness, you're in the proper Vedic system, which is material, by the way, there you cannot change. Your nature is your nature, and you'll be happy being a Shudra if you're born with the Shudra qualities. But in the Krishna conscious system, the Daivi Varnashram system, you can actually transform that, because it's a transformative process. It's not what you're born with, it's not the body, it's the soul, right? The soul's nature comes out, so you can pretty much do anything, right? Sorry, Lakshmi Mataji, I missed your question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how can we detach ourselves from the fruits of our karma? This thought process I'm not able to generate. If I'm coming to my outlet, I must think and wish many customers shall come. How shall I not think anything and just keep doing the work? Lakshmi Mataji, you should think many customers should come, and you should also get those customers to write reviews on Google Places. You should have the best possible restaurant with the best possible reviews humanly possible, right? That's your work as an entrepreneur, and that's what you should focus on. Now, detachment from the fruits of work is that I do my 100% to get the best reviews, to get the most traffic, to do everything else. And Krishna does his part. Man proposes, God disposes. So I do my 100%. And if the results don't come, I don't go like, oh my God, how did this happen to me? Krishna, how could you be so crude with me? Oh, Krishna, how could you not see me? Etc. That's the difference, right? So detachment means I am doing my 100%. Arjun fought with full vengeance. Winning or losing, that Krishna has already taken care of. You already won, right? He told Arjuna, you already won. Just do the work and take the credit, right? So similarly, Lakshmi Mataji, the results are in the hands of Krishna. You do your 100% and don't have expectations, but you should plan ahead. You should set targets. You should have revenue goals. You should have customer goals. You should get reviews. You should be the best possible devotee restaurant out there, right? But don't be disheartened when things don't go according to your plan, because Krishna has a better plan. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I've already taken 7 minutes extra from everyone. My apologies. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. Have a good night, everyone.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.